Touche slacking. Hello everybody! Since last week I have used Lunaton, it's only fair that today I use its counterpart. Solrock shares types with the moon Pokemon, but that's about as far as the similarities go. Solrock is a physical attacker, while Lunaton is a special attacker. The move pools are also quite different to reflect those changes, but you know what is still the same? The rules, so here they are. I can only use the starter in combat, I can't use any items in combat, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and I can't use any cheats or glitches. This time I was a bit overconfident, so I did not choose the nature, but took the first one I got. It's not awful, to be fair, but it could be better, especially because of what I have planned for the end game. The first few fights are still very easy, mostly because they all have only normal moves, so they are not very effective against our floating rock. Even a crit from Trico barely does any damage to us, so there is literally no way of losing those unless you intentionally spam Harden like Ash in the anime. The Aqua Grunt, as usual, tries dirty tactics by throwing some sand in my direction, but thankfully this time it does not affect me because Solrock manages to hit all the tackles anyway, which is quite surprising given its low base accuracy. Next up is Roxanne, and this time she is a little bit more challenging. I still have confusion because it's a special move, but since we have quite a lot less special attack compared to last time, my damage output is a lot lower. Rock also does not resist rock, so all of their rock tombs hurt me quite a bit, and I got a tiny bit worried against Nosepass because I also forgot to equip Solrock with a berry. Only the top gameplay over here. My HP got low, but her AI started using tackles, so we can say that she let me win this one. Once we obtained the first badge of the region, we can do the first optional fight against our rival May. Once again, her team is nothing to write home about, so I introduced them to Rock Throw in a very painful way. We then can take on Brawly because his team is weak to Psychic, and even if I'm not a special attacker, Confusion is still stab, and so it should not be a hard fight. I did not need the good RNG, but I will not complain about it. With the second gym defeated, we can take Mr. Pico's boat to Slateport, where we have to stop the two usual grunts. This part was very easy with Lunaton, and so it's even easier with Solrock. Therefore, I am still undefeated against them. I'm actually considering removing this fight from the videos, but Brawly or even Roxanne to May seems too big of a jump to me. Talking about our rival, it's about time we face her again. This time she is kinda scary, mostly because I don't have great moves. Confusion does not do much damage, and Rock Throw can often miss. Fortunately, it does not let me down yet, so May is defeated too, and we can move on to the next gym fight. I wanted to use Flamethrower for him because of Magneton. The only problem is that it costs a lot of money, so while trying to gather the cash necessary to buy it, I ended up reaching level 40. Because of it, the fight was really easy. as I can one-shot all of his Pokémons. I also learned Rock Slide during the match, which is an okay move. Much higher base power, but still has that 10% chance to miss. I also learned Rock Slide during the fight, which is an okay move. Much higher base power, we can then test our newly learned move against Maxi, who is trying to make a volcano erupt. I don't want to be that guy, but in this area there is a creature hotter than the sun. You own a living volcano. Unfortunately, he used a few sand attacks on me, and this time they did end up impacting the fight, as it took me quite a few attempts before I could land something on the Camerapt. Eventually, he dies too, and I can proceed to the gym fight against Flannery. This is one of the easiest gyms in the region. I started it by using Confusion, but I quickly realized that it is no longer a great move, so I had to switch to Rock Slide. I have the typing advantage, so I can do a lot of damage, and even if it happens to miss once or twice, it should not matter. As predicted, this was a walk in the park, and with the 4 gyms down, we can get back to our dad. Here I actually lost once to him in an unexpected way. Not going to lie, I kinda forgot that he had counter. Once I get back into it, I did not use physical moves much, but this leads me to doing very little damage, even with a flamethrower. The fight is sort of a mess, as I scramble trying to do something to him. Surprisingly, he does not use feint attack much, so eventually, somehow, I can get through the lazy giant. Because of a yawn, I fell asleep against the Lainoon, so he took advantage of the situation and used belly drum. With sweat running down my face, Solrock wakes up immediately and defeats whatever animal Lainoon is. Okay, that was much scarier than I thought. At least the next fight is going to be a lot easier, because after traveling a bunch, we are stopped again by May. Flamethrower is a decent move against her team, but because of the rain, I did not use it. Instead, I had to rely on Rock Slide and its dodgy accuracy. It does not miss, so we got through her with only 2 damage. The next fight is against another gym, and here I had to reset again because I missed Rock Slide and Swablu immediately used Paris Song. The second time around goes a bit better, but I was surprised that Tropius lived a hit from a flamethrower. I am starting to feel that low base special attack. Fortunately, I can use Rock Slide for the rest of the team. I only have to spew some more fire on the metal board, but since it has bad special defense, it goes down in 1 hit, and so we can earn the 6th badge. I then took a break by fighting the last optional match against our rival. Surprisingly, the strongest member of her team is Tropius, or maybe it's just the one I underestimated the most. At least we can all agree that it is better than Slugma, and Pelipper wastes my time since that's the only thing it is good at in this generation. Moving on from the fight against her, we have to go stop Maxi again. This time he is inside the volcano and manages to wake up the legendary before we can get to him. My moveset is not fantastic against him, so the fight took a bit longer than I wanted, and could have ended badly if RNG really decided to screw with me. But that was not the case. It was about average, and I can slowly take down his Pokémons. Unfortunately, potions are a thing, so this took even longer than it needed to. Solrock's move pool is not as good as Lunaton's, but has one major advantage that we can use in the next fight. Here Lunaton struggled a bit because it did not have any great move to take down Tate and Liza. The overgrown Sunstone that we are using does not have such issues because it can learn Shadow Ball, so with that this fight becomes essentially free. Thanks to my typing and ability, I can resist pretty much everything they can throw at me, so it's more of a question of when I will win rather than if. Potions once again delay the answer because NPCs can't just give up, but a high roll speeds it up. We then have the very long fight against the members of Team Magma. Here I decided to play a bit of VGC and turn off my brain and just click Rock Slide. I am sure that there were at least 10 other better options, but if Rock Slide is such a beloved move, let's find out why that's the case. Just like in VGC, Intimidate is a broken ability, and there are even two Pokémons that can lower my attack with that. So by the end of the fight, I was doing very little damage to their teams. So much so that I think Metang might have dealt more damage than me in the long run. But hey, at least that's an opportunity for Steven to shine and show us why he is the real champion of the ON region. I probably should have sped up the fight, but we are at the end now, so it would make no sense to do it for the last 5 seconds. After we are finally done with that situation, we can go and do the last and or fourth fight with Archie. His team is not as bad as Maxi, but still annoying. I am also a bit pissed that Solrock does not learn Psychic by level up, but it would not have changed things much since most of his Pokémon are immune to it. At least he did not take as long as Maxi, and after he goes down, Kyogre goes up, and so we have to rescue the world again. Since this part is always the same, you can miss a few frames while you click the like, subscribe and bell buttons below. After Rayquaza, the unsung hero of the Pokémon franchise, saves the day, it's time to take on the last gym. Juan and his water types are kinda scary because they are super effective, but assuming that I don't miss that many rock slides, this should be doable. Kingdra here was not a big problem, but this does not bode well for the next seahorse that we will have to fight in the league. For Whiscash, since it resists rock, I used Solar Beam. I was not expecting him to use Amnesia, but the Sunbeam was still too much for it to handle. Gym leaders in this game are fun killers because Juan too starts spamming potions, so the fight took a while to end. Now that we are done with all the badges, we can start Victory Road, where Wally stops us for a rematch. Solrock handles his team quite well, except for Delcatty. I am super effective on every other Pokémon, so there is not a whole lot Wally can do to stop me from slaughtering his entire team with a few moves. At least he tried with 5 fully evolved Pokémons, unlike some other trainer. After we passed that road bump, we can start the league proper. The first member is Sidney, and I have to admit that I got very lucky with him. Realistically, I should have had to reset once or twice, but if RNG smiles upon me every once in a while, I am not going to refuse an easy win. Between crits, flinches and non-misses from Rock Slide, I am sure that if you calculate the odds, they are very low. But a lucky win is a win nonetheless, so we can proceed to the second member of the Elite Four, against whom I was not so fortunate. I lost once against Pheobe because Shadow Ball just barely missed the kill on Dusclops, and so she cursed me, and you know how that story goes. In the second attempt, I get the range, so I can face the rest of her team. I know her ace Dusclops would leave a hit because it is a few levels higher, but I did not expect him to retaliate with a crit Shadow Ball of his own, who deals a tremendous amount of damage to me. Fortunately, Seblaye dies, so we are done with half of the Elite Four. Glacia is a bit scary, but not that much, mostly because of Rock Slide. All of her team is weak to it, so as long as I don't miss that much, I can do a lot of damage. The only problem is that if I do miss, they can hit me back with a Surf or a Shadow Ball for quite a lot of damage too. I am not sure if the crit against Wolverine mattered, but without any other misses we got through the match. So now we can move on to the last Elite Four member. Unfortunately, Drake was not so simple and caused me a good number of resets. I attempted him with a physical moveset for a while, but after using all the rare candies, I found salvation by praising the sun. I was able to use a couple of calm minds at the start, and this gave me enough stats to deal with his team. I still kept Rock Slide because even after Intimidate, it still does a good amount of damage to Salamence and Altaria. But the most important move is Solar Beam, who I have neglected for the entire game, but now is its time to shine. While the sun is up, it is a very strong move because it does not need to charge and it is neutral on both Kingdra and Flygon. Another side effect that worked out in my favor is that while the sun is out, water moves do half damage, so Kingdra was much less problematic than earlier. Ultimately, I could not escape Calm Mind, as it came back to prove why it's the best move in the game. Once the last of his dragons gets buried under some rocks, we only have the champion left, and here is where Solar Beam actually proves itself very useful. First things first, lower Wailord's HP, so it does not drown me with Water Spout. Then use Sunny Day, so that it does even less damage. In fact, I think he uses a bunch of Blizzards because his AI calculates that it will do more damage. While he misses about half of his moves, set up Calm Mind as much as possible. When you are ready, wake up the sun again, and from here start blasting them with solar beams. At this point, my base special attack does not matter. I can defeat the 3 neutral mons with just one hit each thanks to the boosts. Unfortunately, there is no hit stone in this game, so after the Ludicolo goes down, I have to spend a turn using Sunny Day again. Milotic uses Toxic, but that's actually great because I know there is not enough time left for it to kill me. With one last beam of solar power, I can win the battle for the championship and be crowned champion. Remember kids, always praise the sun. If I had to choose, I would redo it with Lunaton. It was a much simpler run. But Solrock had its moments too. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and all of that YouTube stuff that I am sure you are well aware of. See you next week. Bye!